I am a seed planted in stillness. I am the center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. I am the center of creation. I am a tree rooted in fullness. I am the center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God. I am the center of creation.
I know what's behind that smile. I know you're tired. Spend your life trying to be everything to everyone. And I know that look in your eyes, 'cause I've seen it in the mirror 1,000 times. That's the face of a woman who doesn't understand how much she's loved. And then the TV tells me I should be like her, achieve like her, to earn the affection I so desperately need. But the people who love me best don't expect me to save the world. No, they regard me as a goddess and they always give me love for free. And they say, you are what you are, and that's all you ever need. Fierce like a warrior, and soft as a sunbeam. Everything you've ever been, and everything you'll ever be, is holy, 'cause you are a goddess, baby. It's hard enough to be just me, rule my world from a place of reverie, forgive myself unconditionally and learn from my mistakes. But then the movies tell me I should look like her and laugh like her. If I'm a quiet beauty, all will surely fall in love with me. But the people who love me best like the way I laugh, and they don't care what I wear. They rather see me loud and proud than stake the light and pretty. And they say, you are what you are, and that's all you ever need. Fierce like a warrior, and soft as a sunbeam. Everything you've ever been, and everything you'll ever be, is holy, 'cause you are a goddess, baby. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. I am practitioner and ministerial student Shelly Walker, and it is an utter and complete joy to be in community with you this day. Welcome. For those of you who are new or newish here, I want to extend a very warm welcome to you from our senior minister, Reverend Shannon O'Hurley, who is finishing up her vacation this week and will be back home with us next week for Easter. It will be so good to have her home and in the pulpit where she belongs. But she sends you so much love today, and so do I. Thank you so much for joining us today. There's lots of information about us on our website, newthoughtcsl.org. Or for those of you here in the building, we have welcome tables here in the hall, downstairs in our community hall. Ask any of us wearing these stoles. We're happy to answer any questions you might have about who we are, what we do, why we do what we do. But the thing that I want you to know most of all is that you are absolutely loved, fully accepted, and welcome for who you are. This is the time in our service where we acknowledge that here, this building is on the ancestral land of the Kalapuya people, and we affirm indigenous history, experiences, and sovereignty. I'd like for you to join me as we share our vision and our mission. If you'd like to speak it with me with one voice, this is our vision. Recognizing our oneness, we envision a world that works for everyone and all creation. And our mission, providing spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. I want to thank all of you in our online community this day. And I especially want to thank our beautiful moderators today, who are practitioner Cindy Gomez and practitioner Beth Doyle. Thank you so much for being our online monitors, our post-service prayers, and all around awesome human beings. We absolutely adore you. Welcome to all of our online community this day. And we have one very special flower dedication today. Look at these beauties. It's spring. I love spring, and I love spring flowers. And these beauties are in honor of Rihanna Kuipers, as today is her birthday. Happy birthday, darling. Happy birthday, Rihanna, from your loving wife, Kate. And she has this quote from Emily Dickinson. Okay, you two are stinking adorable. Kate says, "I think of love and you, and my heart grows full and warm, and my breath stands still." Happy birthday, Rihanna. Yeah. I love celebration, and I love love. All right, y'all, I'm going to invite our beautiful practitioner, Terry, up for an opening blessing. And as she's coming up, I want to invite us all to silence our cell phones as we center ourselves for the next hour together. Thank you, Terry.
Good morning. I would like to invite you to just take this moment to rest. To close your eyes if it feels comfortable, cast them down, and take a breath that settles you into this space right now. It can be a deep breath, it can be gentle breathing. And just bring yourself to this moment, to this place, and just let go of everything that brought you here. And recognize that this is the path that you are on, that you are here by divine appointment, and that is sacred. And I am grateful to be in this community, afar, near, everything that it took to put this blessed time together. Everything behind the scenes that supports us as we settle into the next hour of connection, of community, of love, And I bless all of it. I bless the ministry and the message that each one of us will receive today. I bless the music and how it speaks to our soul, uplifts us, takes us deeper. I bless the audiovisual teams afar and here that puts all this together so that we can be in community and celebrate. And for the teams that are working with our little ones, and for our practitioners who are supporting the ministry, for our greeters, our enthusiastic, lovely greeters, all of it is here to support us as we move through this time together. And I give great thanks for all of it. And so it is. And I invite you, if you are able, to stand as we move into this time of spiritual practice.
My soul are part of a perfect whole. My heart and my hands are serving a sacred plan. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, all I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, all I give to you. My thoughts and my mind are not to eternal time. My words and my song, you're writing them all along. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can so it is.
Good morning. For our spiritual practice reading today, we have an excerpt from the poem The Soul's Homeland by Shelly Harkin. Sometimes my soul feels itself to be in great exile from its homeland. But then I remember my mother's tongue is the poetry my heart is so fluent in, its dialect, laughter, and tears. My other native language is rising early to praise all the great things the sun falls upon. My anthem is the feisty love parade that marches gaily from my heart to yours. My religion is the undying of old knots that once kept my soul hitched to rigidity and smallness. And my doctrine is whatever comes after that, when the soul's full range is restored. My soul is an ancient heritage of love songs from God, and whatever I'm doing here has mostly to do with expressing my devotion for the borderless birthplace deep within my chest, where beauty, again and again, takes her first breath.
Thank you, Helen. Darcy, will you come sing for us?
Sure. We pray for the mountains to move. We pray for the oceans to part. We pray for a miracle in our hearts, in our hearts. No need to hide back in a cave, and no need to hold back any song. You said we can come now full of faith. It's what you promised. It's what you promised. We believe it's already done. Every battle's already won. And it is finished, it is perfect. We believe you've overcome, and it's already done. And we will sing like heaven is here. And we will run like freedom is ours. Oh, we will dance like you promised this far. Take us further and take us further. Ooh, it's already
Brian, as soon as the notes started to fade away, I heard somebody behind me just go, whoa. It's exactly how I feel. Oh, good morning. I see so many old friends and new friends. It's a great, great day to be in community. It's an interesting time right now, this time in history, this time in our lives, but also just this week. We have Women's History Month. Our Jewish friends are celebrating Purim this weekend, which is a really fun and fabulous celebration of another time that Jews escaped certain death. Purim, it actually really is a fun celebration. I didn't explain that well, but we have too much to talk about today for me to go much further into that. We are still in the middle of the month of Ramadan. Our Muslim brothers and sisters are celebrating Ramadan. We just had the spring equinox. Pagans everywhere celebrate spring equinox. And today, of course, in the Christian calendar is Palm Sunday. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about Palm Sunday as a metaphor. We're going to get really big with it, and then we're going to get really, really personal. And we're going to talk about what Palm Sunday means for us. So I can't really tell you the story of Palm Sunday without starting with what happened before Palm Sunday. You know, the master teacher Jesus had been doing his ministry for about 3 years, and he had been super successful. Like everywhere he went, people just got up and just followed along. Why can't y'all be more like that? I'm just kidding. We don't look for followers here, by the way. We look for doers. We want you doing metaphysics. We want you living your life to the fullest. So that was completely a joke. So as Jesus is approaching Jerusalem, probably for the Feast of Purim, is why he was heading into Jerusalem. He had built up quite a name for himself, and he had built up a following. And people were starting to recognize him, and people were starting to literally, physically follow him. So as he's approaching Jerusalem, he gets a message that a family friend named Lazarus had passed away. And Jesus said, all right, take me to the cemetery. And so they did. They took him to the cemetery, and they were like, Jesus, we know you can do some things. We saw you raise the centurion's servant from the dead, but Lazarus has been gone for 4 days. And so we just wanted you to know that's why he wasn't going to be here with you as you enter Jerusalem. And he said, take me to the cemetery. So they got to the cemetery, and he said, will you go ahead and roll that stone away? And they were like, what? No. He goes, just go ahead, just do it. And they said, well, okay. So as they were getting ready to do that, he looked around, and this is one of my favorite parts of the Bible. He goes, hey, God, I already know you're here, but there are a lot of people here, and I want them to know you're here too. So thank you for what's about to happen. So thank you for what's about to happen. And they rolled the stone away, and Lazarus came out. So that is the literal story that we read in the Bible. But what we know is that metaphysics isn't literal. Metaphysics is a story that applies to us. So when I was reading about the metaphysical meaning of Lazarus, what I learned is the entire ministry of Jesus is about consciousness. We are raising our consciousness to the awareness of the divine presence in our lives. This is what Jesus taught over and over and over again. We're raising consciousness. It is the acknowledgement and the gratitude that the divine is here. This is an important moment. Because then what happens is Jesus proceeds to head towards Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is really interesting, and I'd like for you to hear this really in the context of everything that is happening in Israel today. And then we'll talk about what it means for us today. Jerusalem's really interesting because the name Jerusalem literally means, if you can take any Hebrew word literally, because every Hebrew word has 1,000 interpretations. And I really went down the rabbit hole this week for you people. There are a lot of different interpretations of what the word Jerusalem means, but the one that I found most compelling is this. Jeru comes from the root Hebrew word yara, which means to rain or to flow. But it doesn't just mean to rain or to flow. It means like the kind of rain that is a whole lot of tiny raindrops that create a deluge. So it's a lot of very small things coming together to create a big, important thing. It's that kind of flow. It's that kind of rain. So that's the Jeru part. And then shalom. Shalom is the verb to shalom. And shalom means peace. Shalom is to make peace. But an interesting side of that is shalom means to make peace through restoration, to make peace by restoring something. So Jerusalem means the flow of peace. I'm really struck by this idea that peace comes through an act of restitution. One Hebrew scholar that I read this week said, Jerusalem was meant to be the radiating heart of a world of completeness, peace, and wholeness. Isn't that interesting, given today's climate in Israel? The radiating heart of peace and wholeness. I was thinking about this dichotomy of what the intention is behind Jerusalem and the experience of the Israeli people. And as I was thinking about this week, I was having an interesting conversation with my high schooler, and she randomly brought up the Pledge of Allegiance. She goes, you know, Mom, several times a week they play the Pledge of Allegiance, like during homeroom, and everybody ignores it, except there's a handful of kids that stand up and say the pledge. And I was like, really? That's very different from the experience I had growing up in Texas in the 80s. And we were talking about it a little bit, and she said something that I found really interesting. She said, Mom, the thing that I've noticed is that the kids who are most likely the ones to stand up and pay attention are also the ones who are the least likely to uphold the ideals of oneness. And I thought, isn't that interesting? And the reason I tell you this is because what I said to her next was, you know, honey, I think that the Pledge of Allegiance is an ideal. It's a reminder of what we're capable of when we all get on the same page together. And I think that the same is true of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is an ideal. This flow of peace and restitution is an ideal, and it's something for us to live up to in the world. It is something for us to make whole in the world. So, back to Jesus. As Jesus is riding into Jerusalem, he approaches Jerusalem and someone brings him a donkey. And the reason this is important is because in the culture of the time, horses represent war and donkeys represent peace. And so Jesus got on the donkey and he goes into Jerusalem, and he is showing that he is coming as a messenger of peace. Now, in Jerusalem at the time, there were three major Jewish sects. You might have heard of them: the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the Essenes. And each of these three sects had kind of split off from each other because each of them had different ideas about what the right way to do religion is. I can't relate to that at all in modern times. I don't know if you can. They split off. And each of these three different sects thought that they were the right one. And each one had their own rules and regulations and ideas about how to do it right. Again, can't relate at all. And so what they represent in metaphysics is the brain, whereas Jesus on the donkey of peace represents moving into the heart. Keep that in mind. The three different sects, they're inside the walls of Jerusalem, had walled themselves in. They had each tried to be superior. They were shutting each other down. And because of that wall, the heart was shut down. So Jesus went into Jerusalem to teach, and he spent a very interesting week or so there. And while he was there, these three Jewish sects, especially the Pharisees, were so intimidated by him and his radical message of peace that they convinced the Roman governor to have him executed. More on that maybe next week. I don't know. I don't know. But I want to ask you, how often in your life does your intellect shut down your heart? Because that is what this story is about. And this is where the story gets personal. We try to rationalize our feelings away. We try to bypass our compassion with hard facts and logic. We ignore our inward experience and we look out there for validation, for truth. You know, Jesus, when he went into Jerusalem, he had people come and celebrate him and lay palms at his feet. Palms were the symbol of victory and peace. And they laid palms and they said, Hosanna, King of peace, welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know about you, but when I've managed to access compassion, nobody celebrates me. Nobody puts anything at my feet, Jen. Nobody. She told Michael, my husband, to take note. She needs palms. I don't really need palms. But it is a really good reminder of how often we look out there for that kind of validation that we probably are rarely going to get. If we're lucky, we got it from our families of origin. Many of us didn't. If we're lucky, we had a teacher who saw us and celebrated us, you know? If we're lucky, we have a partner or a best friend or a work husband that can do that for us, right? But it's very, very rare. So looking over your past, take a minute to make this personal. Are there times where you can see that you have shut your heart down? I bet that you had some really good reasons for that. I do. We don't just shut our hearts down because we don't feel like feeling anymore. We shut our hearts down because pain forces us to shut down. Disappointment, both in ourselves and in others, forces us to shut down. I'm reading more and more frequent studies about how modern living forces our hearts to shut down. If you experience any of the isms, racism, sexism, ageism, ableism, classism, sexism, heterosexism, any of the socially allowed shaming, such as fat shaming or gender shaming or any shaming, all of these experiences serve to shut down our hearts, and we do that to protect ourselves. It's the right thing to do when we're hurt, is to protect ourselves. Every single one of us has had experiences in the past that served to wall off our hearts. And as we grow and we mature, we have to ask ourselves if being shut down is still serving us. because shut down means closed down. And when we're closed down, we aren't open to give and we aren't open to receive. We become these little islands of shutdownness. Once we decide that we're really ready to let go and ready to forgive and ready to live in the fullness of who we are, what then? I remember when I first entered this teaching and I heard all of these wonderful ideas and these principles and these truths, and I took all of the classes and I showed up for all of the services, and I just kept having this question: how? How do we do this? How do we apply these principles? Well, Ernest Holmes had some ideas. Ernest Holmes says, there is but one healer, and this is the Spirit of truth. There is but one life principle, and this is God in us. There is but one final law. This is the law of good. There is but one ultimate impulsion, and this impulsion is love. So what does that mean? He said, there's but one healer, and this is the Spirit of truth. There is one healer, and this is the Spirit of truth. We often say there's nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. It is that when we recognize the truth, not just in our minds, but in our hearts and in our bodies, when we recognize the truth of who we are and what we're capable of, healing starts to happen. And then he said, there's but one life principle, and this is God in us. There is one life principle, not two. There is not good and evil. There is the divine life. And it is the one principle. It is the one thing that is true of us. This is the life that breathes us, that beats our hearts. Then he said, there is but one final law, and this is the law of good. Those of you who have studied Ernest Holmes at all recognize that the law is really important to him, because the law is what takes our intentions, takes our desires, takes our prayers, takes our consciousness, and makes it form. And I kind of wish he'd chosen a different word for it. But what I like about the word law is impersonal. It responds to every single one of us alike. It is impersonal. And this kind of law, because it's impersonal, it is perfectly just. All we do is be who we are, and the law takes care of the rest. But then he said, there is but one ultimate impulsion, and this impulsion is love. What does impulsion mean? Impulsion means it's the force or motive behind an action or process. So let's read that again. There is but one ultimate force or motive, and this ultimate force is love. Kind of reminds me of what Jesus was teaching us all those years ago. We're all asked to make this journey to our hearts, every single one of us. Even the master teacher himself had to make this journey. And when enough of us do, we will begin to manifest the peace that was promised. But manifesting peace isn't something that other people are going to do for you. It is a very personal journey. Now, when Jesus made his journey into the heart of peace, he was met with celebrating crowds who put palms at his feet. And most of us don't get that. So I want you to know right now, I celebrate you. I do. I celebrate your life. I celebrate every single time you chose compassion over fear. I celebrate every single time you had a difficult conversation that created a healthy boundary for yourself. I celebrate you. I celebrate every single awful experience that you had, that you survived through. That deserves celebration. I deserve every single time. I deserve celebration too. I celebrate every single time you remembered that you deserve to be celebrated. Not just on your birthday, but we celebrate that too. Every day, every choice. But often we forget to celebrate the choices, the good choices, don't we? And sometimes we focus on the mistakes instead. So take just a minute. If you feel comfortable, you might put your hand on your heart. Say, I celebrate you. I celebrate you. Say it like you mean it. I celebrate you. There it is. Turn to your neighbor. I celebrate you. Yes. Turn to your other neighbor. I celebrate you. For those of you at home, let me be your witness. I celebrate you. Yeah, I celebrate you. Thanks, Jen. Do you feel what happened in the room? I wish you could see the faces. I celebrate you. Now, Jesus knew that he was walking into a bad situation, but he still chose to keep moving forward. He chose to stay in his heart. And I'm glad that he was celebrated at the end there. I am, because he did good work. So this is our invitation today, is to stay in our hearts as we move forward in life. I want to circle back to something that we mentioned earlier, this idea, sorry, Rand, this idea that peace and restitution are intimately tied. Peace and restitution. Restitution means to restore or establish again. To restore or establish again. Often we think about restitution in the context of a court settlement or as a social justice issue. And those are really, really important. But let's take a slightly different approach to restitution today. Because often when we're talking about restitution, we're talking about something owed to us. We're talking about something someone owes us, or life owes me. But what we know is that this isn't an outside-in life. That's not how it works. So let's talk about the places where you are withholding forgiveness and restitution from yourself. Are you withholding forgiveness for that stupid thing you said? That's what I do. Ooh, those 2 a.m. moments when you just replay it over and over. Maybe you're holding on to regret for that financial decision you made, or the choice to trust that person. Maybe you're withholding forgiveness for falling for that stupid scam. Where do you keep yourself from being able to establish yourself again in your own innocence? This doesn't mean you didn't make a mistake. It means you don't identify as the mistake. A mistake is what you did. It is not who you are. And a reminder about this from the wonderful Brené Brown. She said, here is what is truly at the heart of wholeheartedness. Worthy now. Not if, not when. We're worthy of love and belonging now, right this minute, as is. As is, you are worthy of love and belonging. And in order to live in this wholeheartedness, as Brené calls it, to live in wholeheartedness, we first have to set ourselves free. Free from judgment, free from regret, free from our mistakes that we made in the past. So what would it mean to let yourself off the hook? What would it mean to stop identifying yourself with the mistake and instead to identify with your wholeheartedness? What we are learning is that judgment and regret are very strong beliefs, and they tend to get lodged not only in our brains and in our hearts, but they get lodged in our bodies as well. So I'm going to give you a little tool that you can use anytime, anywhere, when you are in judgment. And you might be saying, Shelly, why are we talking about this now? I want you to think about this as like a preventative maintenance exercise. Because the less we are judging ourselves, the less lodges in our bodies, the happier and healthier we are on every level. So judgment is a killer. It is. It's bad for our mental health, it's bad for our emotional health, and it's bad for our physical health. So we're going to do a little preventative maintenance on judgment. When you notice yourself judging someone, criticizing, or complaining, I have 3 simple questions for you to ask. Where, why, and how? Where, why, and how? Where do I feel this in my body? So when I'm in judgment, well, of course, first you have to notice it. But once you get used to that, it's real easy to see. Real easy. So once you notice it, you locate it in your body. So when I notice judgment, I can usually locate it, and it is usually located in my power chakra. Oh, right here. But be open, because sometimes your body will surprise you. I have found judgment in my shoulders when I have been carrying too much and I didn't have time for anybody else's BS. I have found judgment in my knee when I was afraid to be flexible or I was afraid to take that next step forward in life. I have found judgment in my ear when I didn't want to hear the truth, right? So just ask your body, where am I feeling this judgment in your body? So the first question is where. The second question is why. Why am I experiencing this judgment? Here's the thing. There's always a story that you're telling yourself. There's always a backstory, and we're really good storytellers. We are brilliant at telling ourselves whatever we want to believe. Once you know what the story is, it's often easier to see it as just a story. It is not the holy truth that has been laid upon you. It's just a story that you're telling yourself. And that story is creating judgment. So number 1, where am I feeling it in my body? Number 2, why am I having this judgment? What story am I telling myself? And number 3, how does this judgment serve to keep me small? And that might feel hard to you, but every single limiting belief in judgment is always limiting. Every single limiting belief, by definition, is limiting you. All of them. Every single limiting belief is serving to keep you small. You don't deserve that, and you can free yourself when you open the door of your consciousness and let the light in. That's what the story of Lazarus taught us. You can do this about the driver that just cut you off. You can do this about the political ad on the TV. You can do this about your cubicle mate who will not stop complaining about your manager. You can do this about the neighbor who insists, bless his heart, on rolling the trash cans out at 4:30 every Friday morning. 4:30 every Friday morning. So let's use that as an example. Let's use that neighbor as an example. Bless his ever-loving heart. So, number 1, where do I feel this in my body? I actually did this just to make sure I was being authentic with you. Where do I feel that in my body? It's more like an all-over rage. And then I thought about it, and you know, the skin is an organ. And our skin is here to protect us from the things that we don't want getting in our bodies, right? It makes sense that the all-over rage was truly all over because where I felt it was in my skin, okay? So why am I holding on to this judgment? What's the story? Well, what I realize is just getting angry every Friday morning at 4:30 is a lot easier than having what might be a potentially difficult conversation with someone I barely know. It's just easier to be in judgment instead of being vulnerable. Number 3, how does this judgment serve to keep me small? It keeps me in righteous anger instead of seeking a greater truth to be known. It keeps me isolated instead of keeping me from knowing my neighbor. And what if I approached him and I said, "Hi, friend. I'm wondering if you would let my husband take your cans out when he takes our cans out." Do you see how he gets voluntold a lot? Sorry. What if? What else is possible? What else is possible in this relationship? What if I became friends with him first? And then a few months down the road, of patience and compassion on my part, I had the conversation. What if I stopped playing small and isolating and did the hard thing and got vulnerable? Do you see how these 3 questions served to get me out of judgment and into possibility? What if? What if? All right, so the 3 questions real quick. Where? Where do I feel it in my body? Why? Why am I holding on to this judgment? And how? How does the judgment serve to keep me small? Here's the thing. When we are centered in judgment for others, we are centered in judgment. You don't separate that out. Have you ever heard that saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything? This is what that's about. You don't get to be in judgment for this one person over here, but pretend you're not in judgment, that you aren't having a consciousness of judgment. It's the same thing with all of our consciousness. And so do we want to be living in a consciousness of judgment, or do we want to be living in our wholeheartedness? Because just like the Pharisees, we can choose to stay in our heads, in our judgment, or we can be like the master teacher and move into our hearts. Before we close, I just want to say one thing. If we have been living in judgment for others, then we have also been living in judgment for ourselves. And it's time to stop. And so we use these tools as a way to clean up our relationships. But what it does is it centers us in our truth, and it clears up our relationships with ourselves. It clears up my relationship with me, who I believe myself to be, and whose I believe myself to be. It clears it all up. So what would it look like to make restitution to yourself this day? What would it look like? You know, restitution is an apology, an amends, a promise not to do it again, and something tangible that reestablishes you in your innocence. You are not your mistakes. You made a mistake. There's a big difference. So what might it look like to make restitution to yourself today? And as each of us starts to clean up that relationship with ourselves, oh my God, the light in the world gets so strong. And this is how we make peace on our planet. This is how we make peace on our planet, by making peace within. Let's pray on that. I'd like to invite the practitioners to come forward. And I want you to know that these practitioners are holding space, a space of truth, a consciousness of wholeness for those of us in the room and for everyone online who is part of our community this day as well. These practitioners have worked for years and years to know a consciousness of wholeheartedness. But what I am learning is that the journey, the path might be long, but the destination has been here all along. All that we are is love, and all we have to do is remember. So let's remember that together this morning. Let's remember that there is one infinite love that is everywhere present. Let's remember that there is a truth that passes all understanding. Oh, I remember. There is a love, there is a presence, there is a grace, there is a peace that is everywhere present. This power that I know, this God I know, this truth that I know is love. And because I know this love is infinite, because I know this love is the one power, I know that everywhere that we remember love, love shows up. And it is that simple. And so for each of us this day, I remember love. I remember love in my body. I remember love in my relationships. I remember love in my community. I remember love wherever it is called for. And I invite each one to remember this same love. To remember that love is not only our birthright, it is our very nature. It is what we were made to be. And as we make that incredible journey from our righteousness, from our judgment, from our regret, as we make that journey into our wholeheartedness, where we see it all, we see the mistakes, we see the grief, we see the pain, and we love it all. Because we are in a consciousness of love, we are in a consciousness of grace, we are in a consciousness of truth. And so I celebrate this love. I celebrate every choice for compassion on this planet. I celebrate every person who is remembering truth, whether that is happening in a church or a temple or an ashram, a mosque, a yoga mat, or in a center for spiritual living. I celebrate the divine that is love this day and how it shows up for each of us. And in this celebration, in this gratitude, we simply let it be. Blessed, blessed be. And so it is. Blessed be. Blessed be. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. All right. As I come back into my body, I want to let you know that this is our time for conscious giving. And John, will you put up the tithing slides? You know, every single month when we receive your gifts, we set a portion of it aside. Just like you set a portion aside for us, we set a portion aside for organizations out in the world that put feet to our values of inclusion and service in the world. And so I want you to see in February, these were some of the places we gave. You can see that we give to both local and national organizations. And we have a committee that gets to choose where we give. How fun is that job, Reverend Sally? It is so fun. And so if you have an organization that you would like to see us support, just email the office and Carolyn will help you to get that information where it needs to go. So I love this. We give to help feed people. We give to help the environment. We give to support new refugees. It is so much good work that your giving helps to support. So thank you for that. It also serves to help us to spread this message to a wider audience. So thank you. Whatever your gift is, there are many different ways you can give. They're on our website, newthoughtcsl.org, or you can text to give at 503-966-3236. But let's speak a word of blessing on our gifts, shall we? From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Blessed be. Darcy.
As around the sun, the earth knows she's revolving. As the rosebuds know to bloom in early May. Just as hate knows love's a cure, you can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always. As now can't reveal the mystery of tomorrow, but in passing we'll grow older every day. Just as all is born is new, do know what I say is true, that I'll be loving you always.
Until the rainbow burns the stars out in the sky.
Always.
Until the ocean covers every mountain high.
Always.
Until the dolphin flies and parrots live at sea.
Always.
Until we dream of life and life becomes a dream.
Did you know that true love asks for nothing? Yeah. Her acceptance is the only pay. Did you know that life is giving love a guarantee to last through forever and a day? Just as time knew to move on since the beginning, and the seasons know exactly when to change. Just as kindness knows no shame, know you love through all the pain, that I'll be loving you always. As today I know I'm living for tomorrow, could make me the past that I mustn't fear. And I'll know deep in my mind the love of me I've left behind, 'cause I'll be loving you always.
Until the day is night and night becomes the day.
Always.
Until the trees and seas just up and fly away.
Always.
Until the day that 8 times 8 times 8 is 4.
Always.
Until the day that is the day that are no more.
Did you know you love by
Until the
somebody?
rainbow burns the stars out in the sky.
Always.
Until the ocean covers every mountain high.
Always.
Until the dolphins fly and parrots live at sea.
I'll be loving
Until we dream of life and life becomes a dream.
always.
Until the day that night and night becomes the day. Until the trees and seas just up and fly away. Until the day that 8 times 8 times 8 is 4. Until the day that is the day that are no more. Until the day that earth starts turning right to left. Until the earth just for the sun denies itself. Until the mother nature's weather's work is through. Until the day that you are me and I am you.
Thank you. Very enlivening. I have a couple of announcements. We invite you to a very special Easter Sunday celebration next week. We're going to be celebrating Easter hope and joy. We'll have wonderful music, lots of music. The NTCSL Choir, Katrina Rogers, Glenn Hoover, and our very own artist in residency, Darcy Bradley. And a little bird told me that the Easter Bunny will be making a visit, and there'll be a lot of wonderful activities for the kids. And as always, we invite you to bring an Easter lily to place on the platform in remembrance of a loved one. And let us know by placing an order on our website by this Wednesday. We'll purchase one for you. Join Reverend Shannon as she explores a new class, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. It's based on the book by Deepak Chopra. It's a powerful course designed to deepen your spiritual connection and help you gain a practical understanding about the spiritual laws that govern our universe. The class will be held online and in person at the center Monday evening, 6:30 to 8:30 Pacific time. April 1st through April 9th. And I heard from the Easter Bunny that those who sign up by March 21st get $10 discount. It's not an April Fool's joke. Okay. For more information and to register for this wonderful class, go to our website, newthoughtcsl.org, or the registration desk in the community hall downstairs. And our last one, that beautiful poem that Helen read this morning by Shelly Harkin. We are so excited that she will be our special guest right here at our center. We're big fans of her poetry, and Reverend Shannon began sharing Shelly's her poetry back in 2020. I did not realize that. You do not want to miss this special evening, Friday, April 12th at 7 p.m. in person and online. Her books are available downstairs in the bookstore. You can purchase tickets on our website or in person at the registration desk in the community hall.
Jerry. Oh, thank you. Thank you for choosing community this day. And thank you to our online community who are chosen community this day. Thank you to everyone watching in Oregon, California, Colorado, Arizona, Nebraska, Florida, Germany, and a very special someone watching in Ireland this morning. Hello, Reverend Shannon. You are so loved. Thank you all for joining us today. This community would not be what it is without you, and we're grateful for you. I'd like to thank our online practitioners and moderators, practitioner Cindy Gomez and Beth Doyle. Thank you so much for what you do to hold up a space of consciousness for our online community. I'd like to invite the practitioners who are going to be available for prayer after service here in the building to come to the front. And for those of you online, there will also be prayer available for you. There's a link in the chat box where you can go into a private Zoom room with one of our licensed practitioners and have a prayer. If there's anything on your heart or your mind, anything you need to restore within yourself to live in your wholeheartedness, this is a great opportunity to do it with these wholehearted beings. Here in the room, this space turns into a quiet space for prayer and meditation once we're done here. So I invite you to either stay for prayer or please join us downstairs in our community hall for nosh and coffee, for our bookstore where we have the Shelly Harkin's latest release available. You can get tickets down there for that event. You can sign up for Reverend Shannon's class. Y'all, this is a phenomenal class. I've taken it, I've taught it. It's an amazing class. And Reverend Shannon is the person you want to take this class from. So whether you're here in person or online, please consider signing up for this class. It's a really good one. 7 Spiritual Laws of Success is about money, but it's not just about money. It's about success. And it's a really important thing for us to understand. All right, please stand as you're able for our final blessing. Practitioner Terry, please join us. May you go in the light, as the light, and with the light until we meet again. May the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. You are so loved.
I release and I let go.